Hi, how is everyone doing? My name is Timmy Reger, and I am a higher self alchemist as well as a visionary thought leader. And I call myself that because I receive a lot of messages about the current energy and understanding what's going on and how we are supposed to, like, what that next level of energy is coming in for us to either prepare for or work through and help you all understand what is happening energetically and what our part is in it. And we all have a part. There's no one who doesn't. We all do. And if you've been following my videos, you know that I get songs a lot from Source with messages. And what will happen is I will wake up in the morning and hear that song, and it will replay through the day, depending on what I'm thinking about or doing. And yesterday I woke up with the song Skyfall by Adele. And I kept hearing, when the sky falls, the world it will all crumble, but we will stand tall. And that was the verse that kept playing over and over in my head. Now, obviously, that's to me about an ending. 2025 is a 9 year, it is an ending year, but I feel like the ending is closer than we think. Um, when we think of a whole year, we have a whole year for this ending to happen, and that's not true at all. The energy of the end is here. And we have to do some things to prepare for that. And I'm going to get into that deeper because they're showing me something else about this. Because this is the year the divine feminine rises. She will not stay quiet no matter what happens. She will not keep her peace. She is not having this. And the thing with the divine feminine that people find the scariest and know that the divine feminine is in each of us, whether you're male, female, bi, it doesn't matter. We all have that aspect as well as we all have the divine masculine. But the feminine, the divine feminine's been hidden for so long, punished and pushed into the shadows. So that part of it's coming back. But there's a part of the divine feminine that I find that many of us are really afraid of. My clients, even myself included, I'm past that now, but I know a lot of my clients still struggle with this, and I still see it when I watch some of the videos and the comments that I read below other people's videos, that it's still there. And the divine feminine is a creation energy. It is about creating new. It's not just about creating babies. It's about creating new worlds, new possibilities, new visions, new ways of being, new models of living. And she exists in our imagination. This is her playground with you, where she plays on the visions that you have for your life and potentially for the world, depending on what your soul's purpose is. But she's not just that. That's the fun, playful part that everyone's like, yeah, let's do it. I can do my imagination. I can vision my future. But there's two parts to this. In order for there to be a new beginning, there has to be an ending. This is energy of death and rebirth. This is divine feminine. And so many of my clients hold this back, and I was doing it for a period of time because we're afraid of that death part. It is not a physical death. And yes, we are all going through this old self, new self thing, which is a death. And it requires a lot of surrendering and courage to work through that stuff. And while that is sometimes challenging, we have had many, many lifetimes where our divine feminine has created something maybe out of balance that has caused suffering and pain to others. And we hold it back because we're afraid that if we allow our divine feminine creation energy to expand and explode at this point, I think for many of us are there, that we're afraid that the ripple effect of that will cause pain and suffering to other people. And we only hurt ourselves by doing that. And the more that we hold it back, when we finally can't hold it in anymore, it will potentially hurt more people because we've waited on the sidelines. But I need you to work through where that comes from because in some past life, you've experienced this and it's preventing you from using your imagination and that divine feminine energy to create a new reality where you have peace, happiness, all the abundance you want, the opportunities, the equality, whatever it is, it starts in your imagination. But we cannot have it unless we're willing to go through that destruction cycle. And that is where we are now. And it is ugly. And it is ugly on purpose. And I will get into a little bit more about what that actually is in a moment, because I really want to focus on that feminine aspect. The feminine is not timid. She is not shy. She does not cower in the corners in the shadow. She is bold and she is compassionate, fiery compassion. If you know who Kuan Yin is, or even Kali, this is the energy of the feminine that is rising right now. And she is not taking names. She wants out. She wants to be heard. She is demanding that she be seen. It isn't, oh, maybe you can see me now. It's like, no, you will see me now and you will hear me roar. But to do that, to release that power from you and however you feel called, we're all different. Me doing this video today is me about accepting that call to allow the feminine to be shown within me, understanding that I may ruffle some feathers with this, and that's okay because that's what I'm here for. We will not get to the world that you want, whether you want to call it 5D or New Earth, and by the way, they're all here, it's just a frequency. You will not get there by blaming others for where your life is today. You must imagine that vision of the future of whatever you see New Earth or 5D as, but you have to do the work that is preventing you from getting there. And the divine feminine will require it of you. You will not be able to look away anymore. That is why it is so intense right now, because we are each being forced to look at the darkest, deepest shit inside of ourselves so that we can have that finally. And I will tell you that I want that. I don't want people to suffer anymore. I don't want to suffer. I don't want people to be in pain anymore. I don't want people to have lack. That is not what Earth was ever supposed to be. But because of many traumas through many lifetimes, where we have made choices to experience things, or we chose to follow someone else who wasn't in alignment with our truth, that we find ourselves here. And this is not about blaming anyone else. We did this. We each have a part. Every one of us who is here now had a part in what we are experiencing now. And the only way for us to get past this is, yes, send them love, do what you feel called to do, but you need to work on the stuff inside of you that allowed you to experience this to begin with. And this means that you must face the demons inside of you that the divine feminine is trying to show you and me and everyone else in the world so that we can shorten this death cycle. We can prolong it by trying to ignore it and trying to fight it, which, by the way, we've been doing since millions of years, since Atlantis, and it has not worked because we're still in the same place we are now, potentially worse. And some of us have what I call past life PTSD because this same scenario that's happening now happened in Atlantis with, by the way, the same souls that were there then are here now. Because we haven't learned and we haven't healed the wounds that are causing us to repeat these cycles. And I understand there's a lot of pain here. The Roman Empire is a very similar story. There's a lot of history in the US, French Revolution, American Revolution, founding days that we all need to heal and look at. And there's so much pain and suffering there. And I know it's not easy to look at that. I've been doing it for, God, a decade, and I know how much stuff is there. And I've been doing it with clients for that long as well. I understand. But freedom comes from within us. Peace comes from within us. Unity comes from within us. Many people talk about unity consciousness, but unity consciousness does not happen outside of ourselves. We first have to unite within ourselves. But if you have inner battles or inner wounds, it won't happen. You'll be continuously manifesting that there isn't unity in the world because you within yourself are not united. And that means that that you don't ignore anger or you don't ignore fear or powerlessness. Those are all signs that you have wounding within yourself that needs to be healed to allow your true self to come in and to allow that new world to be birthed. This is where we are. And it is ugly and it hurts to watch. And yes, it's scary. But sometimes we need that in order for us to see the truth, our individual, but as well as collective self. And if you want this cycle to be shorter, you need to do the things that Spirit is telling you to do, whatever that is, and whatever way it is for you. There's not one way to do this. We all have different capabilities and ways we respond in this, and that's enough. I'm not one of these saying, "Oh, if you're not out there, whatever, you're not doing enough." Some of us aren't built for that, and we're better off doing like these things and honor that. There's not one way. But I will tell you that the only thing that is um, rooted in having to do is you doing your inner work to allow the feminine to rise through you, allow that, what they call the dissension cycle, which is the death part, to happen so that the ascension can happen in rebirth. You cannot have one without the other. Rebirth happens when the energy of the old has been freed up. I've been working for years trying to deprogram the patriarchy, uh, Roman Catholic stuff, because I was raised Roman Catholic, um, so that I'm no longer influenced by all of that stuff, and I'm not using my energy to create any of their stories. And that's a deeper conversation about the mind. And I'm actually going to start offering a free community where I'll start helping people clear some of this stuff because it's so important. And for each of us to understand that our mind actually creates our reality and that what we focus on is what we get more of. And the only way to really change it is to get our minds to change. So as an energy healer, I have a technique that I use that literally deletes the programs so that they're not there anymore. And then you're not running them. Like literally, most of us are programmed, as an example, to overthink. And there's a way to delete all that so that doesn't have to happen anymore. And I will tell you, it's very strange because all of a sudden there's no thoughts in your mind. But it's a great experience. But back to the song, because yesterday, I kind of got trapped in the news feed a bit. And I couldn't understand why, because usually I'm pretty good about staying out of that. I'll go look, I'm aware of what's happening, but I'm not like in it. And yesterday I just couldn't do it. I did wake up feeling a bit drunk, like my head was not screwed onto my body. And I know there's a lot of solar flares and Schumann resonance stuff, and that could very well be why. But the night before, I had surrendered the old reality. See, the thing is I've been talking about this new self, that we're becoming our new self, our truest self. But we can't be our new self in the old reality. Your new self comes with a new reality. And in order for that to happen, you have to let go of the old. Can't hold on to it. You need to do the work to let it go. So yesterday when I was listening to mostly stuff on YouTube and I was listening to some readers, I have a couple of readers that I follow. They seem to be on the same page as me. So Rosie's Insights is really great. I love her. But I was listening to Danny Shea yesterday, who I also love, and his little psychic duck. And he kept getting, and I've watched him multiple days, like I watch when he'll post, and he keeps getting cards about moving on, loss. Um, and there's some confusion as to what that means. And I think me included and others may be thinking it has to do with the election, but I don't think it does. I think it has to do with us letting go of the old and including the old way that the United States worked. And And that means we need to make peace, or even how the world works. This new reality that's coming in is going to be entirely different. And if you listen to some of the others, people are saying with 18 months, we won't recognize the world that we have find ourselves in because it's going to happen so fast. Right now, there's a lot of people who are trying to get back what we lost, the freedom, whatever it is, and whatever aspect you might feel threatened right now. And or even if, there's many people who still want to go back to like pre-COVID, like give that up. It's not happening. The world has changed. The world has shifted from that. You can't go back in time. You can only go forward. But when I was sitting last night and the song's playing again in my head over and over and over again, I'm like, what is going on? Like, what are you trying to show me? And we're in this rising energy of pushback, which is great because that's what we need to do. We need to say no. We need to choose and as come together in unity and understand that we all do want the same thing in the end and stop letting the stories about division and separate us. We are all one. You cannot get to oneness or unity consciousness if you believe we are separate and divided because those two don't go together. But what I was shown was those cards that he keeps pulling about loss and moving on is letting go of the old ways that we have worked, whether in government or in our individual lives, or how money worked, or how abundance worked. That's all changing, and we can't fight for what we lost. We need to fight for what's new, what's coming, because there is something very beautiful that is coming after this, where love, we are united in universal love, where we see each other for what we each bring to the table instead of the skin color, gender, religion that we each have. None of that matters. As a soul, we are all just energy. That just happens to be what that soul picked to experience in this life. Instead of seeing each other as enemies and what they're taking from us, that's exactly the narrative of the old. And that narrative has been here in the United States since the founding days. It is not new. The founding fathers had this, colonial America, we had this. It's the same thing, this idea that someone is taking from us what we believe we should have. And it's a narrative that needs to die with the old because it's not true. It's only true because we have elected to choose to believe that that story is true. So now you are manifesting that it is true. That means that if you change that story, you will no longer experience that. So if you change the story that says the people who have, I don't know, the people who are less than me are stealing from me the things that I deserve, and you change it to we are all one and we all have equal access to opportunities, money, whatever it is, then you will start experiencing that reality instead of the old. It does not happen outside of us first, it happens within us. It's about us changing our stories. And that's why I'm talking about having this free community where I will do some of this stuff, not all of it. I will share some of this stuff to start healing these pieces, the big pieces that Source are telling me that we all need to do. For those that want to dig deeper, obviously I will have paid programs if you want to go deeper in that stuff. And the deeper you go, the faster your reality will shift. Now, what was I being shown last night? There's a lot of beef around there not being a lot of pushback in government with what is happening, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, there just doesn't seem to be any. There is, it's just quiet in the night. And if you look, it is there. But I was shown that part of the problem is that they're all trying to play by the old rules. They're all trying to play in the old model. They're all trying to get back what was lost then. And that song I hear is not about that. It's about letting go of the old. And that means that we have to let go of the way things were done in the past. We can't get there from here anymore. Like there's a giant wall now, and there are those that are speaking to that already. And follow them because they are the future. They are already on the front lines and they are speaking that. So not only on the, let's say, Congress part, but we have to do this. Realized in that moment what that song was telling me is that I was still holding on to this old vision or model of the US. All its pain and suffering, all the suffering it's caused, all of that. And I needed to do work within myself to let that go. And I did it last night, but I woke up this morning and I knew I didn't quite get it. And that's okay. It's layered. We we didn't get here overnight. It's going to take time and patience to get yourself back to that new place. And that reality where this new earth energy exists, or 5D. 5D is not something in the future. 5D is now. We are multidimensional, and within us, all the dimensions exist. And it's just a frequency. And when you do this type of work, you start to tune into that 5D frequency, if you will, and then the world outside of you shifts. That does not happen first, it happens within us. It is the true grassroots activation. Grassroots, meaning that it's from the people up versus top down. And by the way, we are moving to that energy where it is uh, people driven again. But it really starts, the grassroots is within you. It's within each of us. And we each need to clean up that grassroots. So all the resistance, all of the anger and the fear and the powerlessness, the resentment, the anxiety has been cleaned up so that we can radiate at the frequency of what we want to replace this. Now, I have seen some visions of this. I don't really get full clarity on it, so I don't share it because it doesn't quite make sense to me. I think there's a lot of things that some of us are seeing and we don't know how to place it because none of it doesn't exist in our vocabulary, but it's just so different than where we are now. And just pay attention to those. I think many of us are getting like future omen kind of things so that we understand what's happening. The energy of February for me is about rebirth, which is why excuse me, which is why I'm being shown that I need to let go of the old models. I need to walk away from the vision or the current model of the US. Years ago, I was at Watkins Glen and I could feel all the founding fathers there, including Abe Lincoln. He always seems to want to hang out with the founding fathers, even though he really wasn't one. And they told me then that I needed to let go of that model because it didn't work anymore. And it's not that we failed. It's not that it has failed. It's just that the structure wasn't built right to support what it's supposed to be. And it's going to come back stronger than ever. It's going to be a democracy or, social republic, whatever people call that, which is just a subset. It's a type of democracy. We're going to have that again. But it's going to be truly programmed by we the people, where we all have access to equality and abundance and opportunities, and wealth is shared properly. And that world exists within us. But it's not going to happen outside of us first. It has to happen within us. And you need to do this shadow work in order to get yourself there and truly let go of the old. And you can ask whether through muscle testing, using a pendulum, have I let go of the old reality? Have I let go of the old model of the US or even how the world worked? And if you haven't, then you just need to do some more work. And I will tell you that this work takes patience, drive. There are going to be times when you're just going to be like, I'm freaking done. I'm not doing this anymore. I give up. And that's just your ego playing with you because these changes are big. I was working with a client yesterday and I said, listen, I said, we have in the past, if you think of like a thermometer, when we think about changing timelines, we've been going from like, let's say, timeline one to maybe timeline two or three. And there was a small jump, and there was obviously like a integration that needed to happen in order for that new timeline to come in. We aren't doing that anymore. We're going from like timeline one to like timeline 30 within, I just heard 4 weeks. And we're middle of the 4 weeks right now. So that means that we are going to have to go through a lot of bumpy times to get there. And your ego is going to be upset with you. Your small self is going to be upset with you. Your limited self is going to fight you. But in this moment, you can choose that it can be easy for this to happen. It doesn't mean that you still won't have bumps because all it is just bringing up more stuff that has to be cleared. And sometimes it's going to feel like it's never ending. And if you've already been doing this for however long, like I've been doing for 10 years, I think if you've been doing it long, you just know it just keeps going. You just keep going and going until it's gone. Where people who are more new at it, I have some others that are more newbies, can be very overwhelming how much needs to be cleared and how much they clear and then they crawl back into what seems like the same pattern, but it's really not. It's just at a different level. And to be able to stay clear and motivated and keep going. So that's part of what that group will be about. I don't have it up yet. I am working on it. Source has it like on go for me. So I will probably have that done this week. And I'll start, sharing it on the YouTube channel. So if you want to know about that, please like and subscribe. So when I do another video on this, you get that update. I can't wait to connect to you all and see the magic we can make out of this and clear the hurt that comes up by just me sharing some of the stuff that I know I have had to clear, which I'm sure many of us have to do. And but that's where we are. And the first 2 weeks of February are very rocky. Like hold on to your shoes, okay? Make sure you are grounded because it is going to be like they keep showing me like a ship, and I don't know, sometimes you see these videos where there's those ships and the waves are like super high and the boat is nose down, and that is the water we're in right now. And you might feel a little nauseous, you might feel a little dizzy, and it's all part of the shift over because we're making such a large jump. All of this change and dying is all happening at once. And we need to stand tall through that. Part of that Skyfall song is you can take my name and number, but you cannot have my heart. And that's really where we're going as part of this. Instead of being mind driven with the overthinking, we'll be heart based. So I would love to hear from some of you where you're struggling with this and what is coming up for you, because I'll use that as things in that new group, it will be on school, to clear first. I shouldn't say first, but I'll include it because I have some things that I know have to be cleared first. And they may actually be subsets of that, these bigger arching programmings that we have to let go of. And one being overthinking, which is a patriarchal thing. So, because when you overthink, you're not in your heart. You don't trust your inner guidance system. And your inner guidance system is coming online. That's part of your new self. So your new self wants that out of the way. Okay. So what are you struggling with below? What's going on? What shadows are coming up? Can you look in the mirror? If you can't look in the mirror, why not? And I just want to caveat with this. If you're an empath, please, 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 please make sure that the stuff you're looking at in the mirror and trying to work through is actually yours. You are not here to heal everyone else's wounding and pain. You're only here to heal your own. And if that's you, let's talk so I can help you with shifting the perspective of the empath so that it works properly for you and you understand the discernment piece, okay? If that's not you, drop it in the comments below about some of the things that are coming up for you that you just can't seem to process, okay? And I'll do something in the group to help you with that, okay? So drop those comments below. If you like this video, please like it so that more people see it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If not, I will see you soon. Bye for now.